Because all the BMX guys that I was hanging out with at the time, we were starting to get a little bit better, and we were riding at a place called the Pit at Wallace Marine Park. Some jumps that some people had previously built that weren't big enough for us. It was a really constrained spot, and we needed to step it up a little bit. We needed some bigger stuff to ride on, so we took our scene down the road in Wallace Marine Park a little bit further to some mountain bike trails that had some really extreme potential for some big stuff to happen. So we got our shovels and our wheelbarrows and started digging.
It seemed like, I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot of trails on the West Coast. It was more just like dirt jumps out in a flat field out in the sun. And when we built Solheim, it was like back in the forest, and it was like the videos that we had watched, whereas a lot of the trails on the East Coast were surrounded by forest and in the trees, and that's what inspired us a lot to build them.
Well, we had this place called the Pit, and it was out in the open, and it was sandy and sunny, and just wasn't really an enjoyable place to ride. And we saw videos like from the East Coast, these guys had gnarly jumps out in the trees, and we decided, we want to find a spot, and build jumps like that. So we looked around. We actually didn't even look right down the trail for a while. We went to a couple spots and thought of a couple places, but just happened to ride down the trail one day and noticed this just perfect spot. So we started digging there, and
we were trying to come up with a name for the spot, the location, and being Salem, Oregon, and it's lame here. There's nothing better than so lame trails. It fit.
'Cause Salem got nicknamed So Lame, and for being a lame little town, and I don't know, it just kind of stuck, so we went with it.
Imagination and creativity to build these jumps by hand. I mean, these guys are digging with shovels, flathead shovels, wheelbarrows, spade shovels, moving hundreds of cubic yards and feet of dirt by hand just to shape these perfectly sculpted jumps out of dirt in the middle of nowhere, just for the love of riding BMX. Without a doubt, absolutely. Back when I was riding, I visited quite a few trails up in Washington and Southern Oregon, and nothing compared to the stuff that we built. It absolutely is very legendary.
Yeah, I would think we did some. We definitely progressed it on the West Coast. It seemed like, I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot of trails on the West Coast. It was more just like dirt jumps out in a flat field out in the sun. And when we built Solheim, it was like back in the forest, and it was like the videos that we had watched, whereas a lot of the trails on the East Coast were surrounded by forest and in the trees, and that's what inspired us a lot to build them.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were on the forefront of this BMX revolution before X Games came along. We were like before all that shit ever started happening. BMX was just on a flat track, and you're racing to see how fast you can go. We were on the forefront of this jumping and tricks and seeing how high you can jump and how far you can jump. And before people started doing backflips, we were riding BMX, doing toboggans and bar spins and 360s, tabletops, building big hip jumps, 30-foot gaps, going as fast and as big and as high and as far as we could.
definitely, I believe so. There wasn't many dirt jumps on the West Coast, and we definitely opened that up. There wasn't many spots, and there was like Sheep Hills that was out in the open. That was like the only named spot on the West Coast. There wasn't really any named spot, and we kind of made a name for ourselves.
It's slow motion, fast speed. It's a fucking dream. It's a dream. Yeah, it's a dream that you're flying, but you're in control. And you can hear your tires on the dirt. You can hear when your tires leave the lip. And then you're in control when you're in the air, and then when your tires hit the dirt, you're in control again. It's great.
It felt awesome, like, I don't know, like you're flying, like it was a lot of jumps in a row. A lot of places we went to before, only had a couple jumps, but ours had jump after jump after jump, which is a rhythm section, and that's what was so awesome about it. It was all downhill, and it was a continuous jump after jump, with a dozen jumps. Anyways, it was amazing. Feel like you're flying, going 20 feet in the air, 20 plus gaps, and I don't know. It's indescribable, that feeling.